Welcome back, fight fans. It's your boy Blue. This is episode 10, the big 1-0. Episode 10 of BLÜ-FC. As always, we're going to be recapping last week's event first. That was UFC Vegas 38, Santos and Walker. And then we'll be doing this week's event, which is UFC Vegas 39. Mackenzie Dern and Rodriguez. I can't remember her first name right now. Anyway, so first we will go with Santos and Walker. We'll start with the prelims, as we always do. And the first one, we had Jamie Malarkey and Devontae Smith. A lot of people had Smith to win this one, but you know what I say to that? Malarkey. I had Malarkey here. I did say this was going to be a tight one. Could have gone either way. And you know what? I was worried at the start. I really was. Smith looked amazing. He rocked Malarkey a few times there in the first round, but in the second, that was when his cardio kicked in. Smith got slower because of that, and also because of Jamie's kicks. He was doing a lot of kicks. That slows people down too. So cardio, kicks, Malarkey really brought the pace up, and it was just too much. He overwhelmed Smith and got the second round KO. Yes. Now, what is next for Malarkey? He's solid, but I think he needs probably another bigger fight before he gets somebody ranked. But he's on his way there. I like him. He's doing really well. He's showing that he can keep up. But I mean, that division is so stacked, the lightweight division. It's crazy. So I mean, you're going to have to do something, either something insane, or you're going to have to fight somebody just slightly bigger to get that ranked shot next. Excuse me. Next after that was Shevchenko and O'Neal. I was talking about that one, of course, because of Shevchenko. And I had Shevchenko on this one just because she was obviously the more experienced one. Even though she had a bit of a spotty record. O'Neal I think that was her first fight in the UFC. If not, it was one of the first two or so. So I had Shevchenko on that one. The odds makers were against me on that. And as we saw, the first round was super close. Honestly, I think Shevchenko got that round. But in the second, O'Neal just came in way harder, overwhelmed her, and she got the ground and pound win. So what's next for her? Shevchenko is a big name. In fact, they already gave O'Neal a ranking after that. Pretty soon, in my opinion, normally. But you know what? Fair enough. She beat the name. She beat somebody who's been fighting all these ranked people. So it's fair to give her a low ranking. So after that, of course, you give her somebody that's ranked higher next. Maybe Roxanne, maybe Barber, one of those two. I could definitely see that. I could 100% see that. I hope that happens. She's pretty good. After that, one that I didn't talk about in last show, but I will talk about now, was Rosa, maybe Hosa. I don't remember how you pronounce it. I'll just go with Rosa on this one, versus Beth Correa. Rosa was a huge favorite. And I think I actually did mention this because I mentioned it as a chance for a parlay in the Rosa direction, obviously. And if you did do that, congrats, you cashed in. Rosa was fairly dominant the whole fight, really. Correa just came in way overweight. It was her last fight in the UFC. She had a great career, but honestly, it just wasn't her fight. And I mean, you know what? Fair enough. Rosa is 26, just way younger. She looked really good. It's going to be great to see her fight more. She's making her way up, and she's got a lot going for her. So, and that was a big name, not necessarily a great fight, but it's a big name. So you know what? Give her somebody in the top 10. She's earned it. I really do think she has, especially since I said she's getting so much better. Give her somebody good to test that out. I would love to see that. Now, the main card was after that, of course. The first one was Alex Hernandez and Mike Breeden. This was, of course, another parlay chance. This was the second part of that parlay. And I hope you got it. You cashed in huge on this one, of course. I was going Hernandez all the way on this. I mean, how could you not? Mike Breeden is his first time in the UFC. Hernandez is so good. He's proven that time again. And he did that here too. Yeah, this is why he was such a huge favorite. He dominated every second of however short that fight was, smoked him multiple times, easy KO for Hernandez. What's next for him? I don't know. It's so it's such a weird position when you see people like this because he's got a weird record. Whenever he fights somebody that's ranked, it's not going so well. But when he fights somebody else, it's good. He shows up and it's crazy. So what do? I mean, you got to give him somebody ranked again, I guess. I mean, he is that good that he deserves somebody ranked. If not, do somebody super close again, just like I was saying with Malarkey. You got to, yeah. Yeah, again, it's just a weird situation to be in. After that, the one we were going to talk about, and I wish we could have, because I wish we could have seen this fight, Aspen Ladd and Chiasson. Like I was saying, we had a solid women's fight lined up here. Sadly, this one was canceled. Ladd missed weight by a few pounds, but not only that, it took them over 5 minutes to take her weight. She was shaking the whole time, almost collapsing, actually. And I mean, if you would have seen the video, I retweeted it on Twitter if you want to go look at it. It's the problem with these crazy weight cuts. It's insane. It's really sad to watch somebody like that. So yeah, what's next for her? Honestly, I think she really needs some kind of help. I don't know if she needs some kind of nutritionist. I don't know. Maybe just walk around at a lighter weight in general. Like, I know, you want to stay bigger just so that you got that extra power coming into the fight. But if you're missing the fight, if you can't even get into the fight because you can't make the weight, because you're basically killing yourself to make the weight, you need to change something. You need a nutritionist, or you just need to fight up in featherweight, which is actually, I found interesting. There are no featherweight rankings on the UFC website. I just found that out. Very interesting. So, what's next for her? I mean, you could either run that back. You could definitely do that. Or she's ranked so high. Why not throw somebody at Nunes after this? Or maybe even let her fight Chiasson first. And if she wins that, throw her at Nunes, not in the bantamweights, but in the featherweight. Why not do that? She hasn't had a challenger really at featherweight. Well, at least, I mean, she has, but meh. Why not have another one? Get that division going again. I want to see the women's divisions in every division. I want to see it going better. I mean, to really get rid of the rankings in the featherweights, that's crazy. Come on, bring him back. Make that fight. I mean, does she deserve it after that? Maybe not, but I would still watch it. I would love to see that. Aspen Ladd, Amanda Nunes at featherweight for the belt. That's pretty cool. I'd like to see that. Anyway, enough of that. After that was, well, what actually happened. Instead of that, we had Misha Cirkunov, Krzysztof Jotko. Going into this, again, it was one that was pretty even for me because you've got Cirkunov who's ranked, but he's also coming down a weight class. So that can go one of two ways. Either they come in looking huge, looking strong with that extra power, or they come in and they're not really used to being at that weight. And I think that's what happened here. It was dead even the whole fight, really. Misha had more takedowns early, but Jotko was close. He maybe landed the better shots and was more active, Jotko, I should say. And Jotko won the split decision. I said it was going to be close. A split decision, that's as close as it can get. And what's next for these two? I mean, Cirkunov can definitely stay down here. He showed that he can compete. He could do that. And he did. You could tell he actually lost not just some of the fat, but some of the muscle too, which is fine. if you're going to commit to this weight class. That's totally fine. And he definitely showed that he can compete down here. You just got to get used to it. And the announcers even said that. They just said he wasn't really looking like he was used to fighting at that kind of weight. So he could either stay here or he could go back up, compete in that division again. Either way, I think he's a strong contender either way. He's just got to commit, I think. That's what he's got to do. Now, and Jotko, I mean, he beat Serkinov, somebody who's ranked in the division higher. You got to give him somebody ranked, I guess, you know? Makes sense to me. Maybe Tavares, maybe Muniz, maybe Hall, somebody like that, you know, Uriah Hall, somebody like that. I think he deserves it. His last loss, I think when I looked it up, it was against Sean Strickland. So, you know, it makes sense. I'd like to see that. He deserves it. And after that, we had Alex Oliveira and Nico Price. I told we all knew this was going to be a good one, and it was. I had Price winning by decision, and that is exactly what we saw. Once again, I was actually on fire this event. Really, I really was. I was getting things right left and right. I've got my record back in order here. Anyway, enough about me. Price got the first round. Oliveira got the second. The third round, both of them had their moments. Honestly, it kind of went either way. But I think because Price ended the last round in the dominant position on top, I mean, he clearly stole the round like that. There we go. And that ended up with the 29-28 for Price. Now, what is next for him? I don't know. He's one of these fighters that has, like Hernandez, it's a weird record. He either does really well or not so well. So I could see him getting somebody ranked again. Maybe somebody near the bottom, like D-Rod, Brady, Salikov, somebody near the bottom of the welterweights there. I could see that. And again, he deserves it too. He was ranked fairly recently. I think maybe even last year. Might have been the year before, but I remember him being ranked. So, you know, deserves another shot. Why not? He's an exciting guy. Excuse me. And he's a nice guy too. Then in the co-main, holy shit. I mean, really, we had Kevin Holland and Kyle Dawkins. I went with Holland on this because when you spend that much time off learning, and he's a super dedicated guy, I figured he would come back in looking amazing, especially with that new wrestling background. And you know what? He did it. I really think he did show us that. And if you disagree with that, honestly, you weren't paying attention, because yes, the whole thing happened. Okay, yeah. But he wasn't taken down. Kyle Dawkins did not take him down, not even once. So, I mean, you got to remember that, especially considering we're talking about Holland, who in the last couple of fights was just ragdolled all over the place in the wrestling department. So that is a win in itself. And he showed that he can definitely compete in that department. And he definitely was winning on the feet. So anyway, he showed what we were hoping for. We all know what happened. He just got very, very unlucky. I mean, honestly, you could say we all got unlucky, really. Dawkins got unlucky. We got robbed as the fans. I mean, come on. Genuinely the worst clash of heads I've ever seen. He literally got knocked out from it. I mean, I'm not even joking. As soon as I saw that, the first thing I said was, well, that's got to be a no contest, because that's insane. And I stand by that. I don't give a shit what anybody else says. That is a very clear no contest. I was saying it right as soon as it happened. I'm so glad that the refs finally got something right here that was controversial. They get a lot right. But when it comes to something this controversial, normally, or at least sometimes, they go in the wrong direction. This time, they got it right 100%. No contest. For sure. And why is that? Holland did what he had to do. Yeah, sure. He got up right away and started fighting. But that's exactly what he was supposed to do. And same with Dawkins. He did what he was supposed to do. He saw Holland get up. You keep fighting. The ref didn't stop the fight. That's what you're supposed to do. But that's where it comes in. That's where the controversy comes in. As they got up, the fight continued, but the fight ended I think it was around less than a minute after that, pretty close even, at least. And I mean, when something like that happens around a minute after, a minute before the end of a fight, you can't say that that's fair. Like, no, that's a no contest all day. It started the whole sequence that led to the finish. And I mean, when you're knocked out like that, he was knocked out, like knocked out. So like when you're knocked out like that, you can't just get up and fight the same as you were before that. You can't do that. So it's just a very clear textbook no contest right there. I don't care what you say if you disagree with me on this one. You're not winning this argument. That is a no contest. So what's next for both of them? Of course, you run it back. And they agreed to it. They both agreed to it. They both want it. Everybody wants it. That's obviously happening again. They did say they'll probably wait until after his brother fights in December against Derek Lewis. Fair enough. It also gives Holland a chance to recover because he's probably going to be on concussion protocol and all that kind of stuff. So makes sense. See that in January, probably. There you go. But yeah. And then in the main event, Thiago Santos, Johnny Walker. I don't think this is what anyone was expecting, really. I mean, we were kind of expecting at least, a lot of exchanges, some power being thrown around, not too much grappling, but just the kicks, the punches, everything, the power, let the power fly. But not really what we saw. They just felt each other out the first round. Walker probably got that one. Then in the second, Santos woke up a bit. He edged those middle rounds, and then he finally, maybe most of the middle rounds anyway. Then he landed a huge punch in the last round, basically stole that round. Honestly, though, I wasn't really sure who was going to win because when you see that, I was thinking Santos was winning. Some people disagreed, of course, but because especially when you see that the judges are watching it, they don't see the numbers. They don't know who is outstriking who. They have no idea. So when you see that, and we've talked about MMA judging before, if you want to check out that episode, I'll probably even clip it to its own video. But when you see that, you don't know which way it's going to go. You really don't in the judge's eyes, especially when it's like, there's like nothing going on. No offense. Like there was nothing going on here at all. But in the end, Santos won the unanimous decision, 3-2. Deserved to, I mean, honestly, because neither one of them did a whole lot, but Walker did less. So, and like I said, Santos landed by far the most significant strike of the whole fight. I mean, that would win the one round, but he also, I think, edged it in the other rounds too. And what's next for him? Well, he said in the post show, he's actually wants to fight Yuri Prochazka. Big call out. I cannot believe I'm surprised he said that. Nobody wants to fight him. I mean, I don't blame him. I'd like to see that, but I gotta say, there's a reason why people don't want to fight him. You're gonna get smacked, sir. Like, you're gonna lose. Like, I'm sorry. I'm betting on Yuri the whole time on that one. There is no way in hell I'm thinking Santos even stands a chance in that. But pretty ballsy move to call him out. I like it. And you know what? He doesn't have a fight going on. So I think that's the one to make, unless Smith fights Yuri or something like that, or Rakic is thrown in there. Who knows? But I think that's pretty good. It should be Rakic, Smith, Yuri, and Santos. I needed to think about that one. And then maybe the winner of those two, or honestly, we could skip that. We could just go the winner of Santos Yuri goes for the belt next, because Smith Rakic, I don't think either one of them really deserves the next title shot. I think it should be Yuri Santos. I think that's the winner. The winner of that should definitely be the next belt opportunity there. I think that's fair. All right, and that is it for that card. We'll take a short break, of course, before we start talking about this week's. We will be right back after this.
Allow me to introduce Pie Stick Vodka, a new way to celebrate victory. gather around the glass with an award-winning, ultra-premium Canadian-made vodka. You probably won't listen when I say High Stick Vodka has a smooth, hard-hitting taste, or that it's developed in the birthplace of hockey. You won't listen when I say High Stick Vodka is a tribute to the game of hockey, or when I tell you it's distilled 4 times using Canada's purest mountain spring water to provide an authentic, remarkable flavor. But maybe you will listen when I say it comes in a fucking hockey stick. Showcase your passion for hockey with our limited edition hand-blown hockey stick bottle. Whether you're celebrating victory or drinking to defeat, High Stick Vodka is better after every shot. Visit us at highstickvodka.com. It also comes in this regular bottle. Celebrate victory. Drink responsibly.
And we are back. So now we're going to be talking about UFC Vegas 39, Dern and Rodriguez. We'll start with the main card first. Of course, we've got Phil Haas and Darren Wynn. Phil Haas is coming into this one looking pretty good. He's won all of his fights in the UFC so far, and his last one was against Kyle Dawkins, who we literally just talked about. And on Darren Wynn's side, he's only won his last one. He lost the 2 before that. I mean, do I really have to say? I mean, it's a very clear, you got to lean towards Phil Haas on this one. And I mean, if you've ever seen him fight, he is something. He is a beast. So I'm definitely leaning towards him on this one. We'll look at the odds here. And of course, if you want to go over to Bet99, that is where we get our odds. That is the link to the Area 51 Sports Network. You can get the deal there on the betting. This plus, I think it's a 600 bonus for signing up through there. We'll move over to the odds. What do we have here? We've got minus 313 for Haas, plus 240 for Wynn. Very clear choice here is Haas. And since the numbers are so high, yes, you could throw some money at Haas, but of course, you can always just string it into a parlay. We'll be talking about one of those parlay chances later. I'll talk about that when we get there. But yeah, there's a few chances for a parlay here because there's some lopsided odds here for sure. But yeah, that is the first one. Keep that in mind, folks. After that, we've got Sabina Matzo, Maria Agapova. Agapova, she's coming off a loss in her last one. She hasn't been in the UFC that long. Matzo is definitely more experienced here. She also lost her last one, but a bit of a difference maker here. Matzo normally fights at bantamweight. This is a flyweight matchup. We just saw this. We just talked about Misha. That could go one of 2 ways again here. Because of all that, this is definitely a toss-up for me here. The experience maybe tells me Matzo, which is what I said about Misha. So take that the way you will. It's I am leaning towards Matzo on this, but it's going to be really close. I'm going Matzo by decision. And if you look at the odds, they're also leaning towards Matzo. Minus 175 for Matzo, plus 140 for Agapova. I don't know. Like, I think that, again, they're going with the name too, because people don't, when they put the names up there, they don't tend to look at the weight classes. They just look at who's fighting. It's Matzo, Agapova. I know who Matzo is, so I'm going to go with that. That's what most people would say. So I don't know if you really want to pay attention to those odds too much here, because again, the change in weight, I don't know. So this might be a chance to do the underdog, but like I said, I am leaning towards Matzo because of all that experience. That's the way I'm going on this one, but it's going to be a close one, and I think you should watch it. Next up, we have Tim Elliott, Mateus Nicolau. Tim Elliott is at number 9 in the flyweights. Nicolau is 11th. What did I say? Number 9? Yeah, okay. Elliott's got a spotty record recently. He won his last 2, lost 3 in a row before that, but all 3 of those were against the people at the top right now. It was Askar Askarov, Figueiredo, and not Brandon Moreno, but Brandon Royval. That's who it was. I didn't write it down, but I remember reading it. So that's pretty solid competition. Those are 3 fair losses, and he won his last 2. Nicolau literally just got into the UFC. He's only got 1 fight here. But this time I should say, because he was actually in the UFC before, got cut, or I'm assuming he got cut. Oh yeah, because they got rid of the flyweights for a while. So yeah, he wasn't in the UFC for a while there. Not really sure how he's ranked 11th right now. I honestly have no idea. I looked it up and everything, and I was like, I don't know how he's ranked 11th. So my gut is telling me Elliott. He's way more experienced. He's just fought way, way stronger competition. Like I said, he lost to Askarov, Figueiredo, Royval, and then he won his last 2. So that's a huge boost in competition there. But you've also got the age gap to consider. When it's that big, you kind of wonder sometimes. This is another one that I really do think could go either way. Like a lot of the ones this week, really. I really do think the odds are a bit out of control, but I will say I think they're closer than people give them credit for on this one. And I think that's also because you've got a card here that doesn't have a huge number of, let's say, well-known people. Because, like, especially, you talk about the pay-per-views. Yes, of course, you're going to know pretty much everybody. But most of the Vegas ones, at least the main card ones, you're like, oh, okay. Like, I'm excited for that one. That's pretty cool. Or even the main event, it's like, oh. But this one, you've got Dern and Rodriguez, and you don't have too many people that most people have even heard of before. I mean, I have, because I've watched so much. I'm not going to throw around the word casual here, but like, if you're a casual, or let's say you don't necessarily pay attention to the names all the time, you might not know who really anybody on this card is, except for maybe Tim Elliott and Mackenzie Dern, probably. So that might be why the odds are a bit weird on this card, really. So I'm going to give you the odds, of course, and you should pay attention to them a little bit. But this might be one of those weeks where you might want to take advantage of some underdogs. You really might want to do that. So my opinion on this one, I'm thinking we're going to see a decision here for sure. I think we're going to see that either way. So if you don't want to bet on a person here, bet on the fact that it's going to be over the, 2.5 rounds? What do we got here? What does it say? Yeah, over 2.5. Well, they've got minus 234 for over 2.5. So they think it's for sure going to be the full 3 rounds too. I think it is too. Maybe even throw that in the parlay. But anyway, so I'm going decision here for sure. And I'm really leaning towards Elliott, which is interesting because if we look at the Bet99 odds for this, we've got Tim Elliott plus 166, Nicolau minus 209. So they're really leaning towards Nicolau on this. And I can't put it together as to why. I mean, of course, there's a pretty good, there's a chance, obviously, that when we come to Saturday and I see him fighting, I'm like, oh, that's why. But just based on what's happened, based on the fact that Tim Elliott's won his last 2, only lost to really strong people, and Nicolau is only 1 fight into the UFC this time around, I just can't see why he's at a minus 209 favorite. So this is definitely a chance to take advantage of an underdog here. Go with Tim Elliott. Or like I said, if you're not going to pick a person, go with the fact that it's going to be a decision, because I really think that's the most likely thing. But like I said, this is a prime opportunity to take advantage of the underdog, Tim Elliott here. After that, we've got the co-main, Randy Brown and Jared Gooden. Brown has a real spotty record here. Wins and losses all over the place in the UFC. His last fight was a win to Alex Oliveira, who, again, we just talked about with Nico Price. And before that was a loss to Luque, which, again, makes sense. Luque is a powerhouse. I totally understand that. Gooden also has a spotty record, though. He did get a big KO last time, though. So if you're not going to go based on record, maybe go by that. Yet another one that seems pretty close to me here. Again, there's a couple ones this week that have me saying that. Brown has more subs. Gooden has more KOs. So what do you go with on here? Well, you either go with the huge KO last time, which is Gooden, or what you do when you see that wrestler-puncher matchup, you go, at least in my opinion, you normally go with the wrestler. So for me, I'm actually going Brown on this, even though Gooden looks kind of good. Yeah, and I will say, I do think we're seeing a finish here for sure. So yeah, if we look at the odds here, we're going to look at the finish odds and, of course, who wins the fight here. Over at Bet99, they've got Brown minus 240, Gooden plus 190. Honestly, I think that's a little unfair of the odds. I think that's leaning a bit too much towards Brown. Again, if you're feeling maybe Gooden, maybe you want to throw some money at that because those odds are pretty good. But I'm leaning towards Brown by the finish. And if you look at the odds for that, they've got over 1.5 rounds. They've got minus 167. So they think it's going to be in the second round at least. Plus 130 for under that. I'm not sure if you'd want to take that. I'm not sure if you would want to take that because I could see if they did the 2.5, you would take that bet because I think there's going to be a finish. I don't think it's going to go to a decision. But does that happen in the first round or in the first half of the second round? Not sure about that one. And I'm not sure actually if you can actually change the odds under that. You might want to check into that. I don't know. But like I said, for me, I'm definitely going towards Brown on this one. The minus 240 favorite. But that's pretty high. So I'm not sure if I would take the minus 240 odds on that unless you're feeling very confident. In the main event, we've got Mackenzie Dern, Marina Rodriguez. Dern is ranked number 5 here in the strawweights. Rodriguez is ranked number 6 in the strawweights. But she hasn't fought in the strawweights. But she's been amazing. I don't know how that worked out. She fights in the flyweights. How is she ranked in the strawweights? I have no idea. I genuinely have no fucking clue. Nonetheless, Rodriguez has looked pretty good. She's got a pretty good record. Her only loss is to Carla Esparza, and she beat the Karate Hottie, beat Amanda Ribas, not Ribas, and she beat Tisha Torres. Dern also has a really good record. Her only loss is to Amanda Ribas, though. But she's also on a 4-fight win streak with Hannah Cyphers, Randa Marcos, Janji Doba, and Nina Nunes. All pretty spectacular first round KOs, or first win. I don't actually know if they were KOs. First round wins, except for the one against Janji Doba. So this one is yet another toss-up. Dern is the natural strawweight, and she is on a streak. Rodriguez maybe has a more impressive record, but like I said, that's a different weight class. That is not the same weight class. So it's a tight one here. I'm definitely thinking a decision, though. And if we look at the odds again, you've got minus 175 for Dern, plus 142 for Rodriguez. I actually thought it would be a little bit closer. I really did because of that record for Rodriguez. So again, maybe this is a chance to do an underdog if you're feeling risky. And then for the rounds, they've got plus 108 for over 2.5 rounds. That is interesting, actually. And under 2.5 is a minus 140. That is actually very interesting. In a 5-round fight, that is very interesting. You know what? That is a golden opportunity right there. I would take those odds for sure. Over 2.5 rounds? Are you kidding me? A plus 108? Do that, folks. Do that. If you're not going to pick a winner, do that. But like I said, well, as I said, I'm going for the decision, but I am leaning towards Mackenzie Dern on this because she's the natural straw weight. That is why. They both have very similar records. So I'm going with the natural straw weight and somebody who I think probably is going to do better, going with Mackenzie Dern. But again, great chance to bet on the over 2.5 rounds here. That is it for the main card. Now we've got the prelims. I've got 2 I want to talk about this time. The first one, it's not as exciting, but I'm going to talk about it anyway. We've got Charles Rosa, Damon Jackson. I've seen both of them a couple times. Rosa has an interesting record, and that's one of the reasons I actually wanted to talk about it. I'm not even kidding here. His last 11 fights in a row here, he's got win 1, lose 1, win 1, lose 1. 11 fights in a row. And guess what? If the trend continues, he's going to lose this one. Just saying. So I'm going to go with the trend on this one. And I have seen these 2 fight before. So I do think that Jackson is also pretty strong. So he's got a pretty good chance there. But you got to like that. You got to like when it's a huge pattern like that. 11 fights in a row. So if you're feeling lucky on that one, if you think the trend's going to continue, maybe throw something at that one. I will say, though, even though Damon Jackson is probably the creepiest looking person I've seen on the roster, I think he's got a good chance here. So I'm going to go with Jackson by the finish probably, because I honestly think you're seeing a finish either way here. I really do think you're seeing a finish either way. So if you're not going to bet on the 11 or the 12 fight trend, it would be after this. If you don't want to bet on that, bet on the over under here, because over 2.5 rounds, they've got minus 172. Minus 172 in a 3-round fight for 2.5 rounds. I just don't think that that's realistic. I think it's going to be under that for sure at plus 133. So I think that's a pretty solid bet there. I would do that. And you know what? They've actually got Rosa at plus 150, minus 186 for Jackson. They're leaning towards Jackson too. I will say I'm not quite sure if I would flip it that hard at minus 186, but still, that is still a solid bet, especially if you're going to go with that 12 fight trend there. That's a nice one. After that, and this is the one that I really want to see. I really hope everybody watches this one. Alexander Romanov, Jared Vanderaa. I'm excited about this one. I've seen both of them before, and I've seen each of Romanov's fights. He is an absolute monster. He is undefeated right now. Vanderaa is pretty solid too, and he did just beat Tafa, but he lost to Spivak before that. But honestly, I don't think any of that matters because Romanov is just this good. He is so good. I'm going with the undefeated monster Romanov here. And because we've got the heavyweights, of course, I'm going to be going with the finish here. And of course, we will look at the odds. And this is one of those ones that I was talking about for the parlay chance. You've got minus 650 for Romanov, plus 433 for Vanderaa. And yet again, for those rounds, they've got under 1.5 at minus 158. I'm not sure I would take the bet just because when you see 1.5, it's like, not sure I want to do that. And they do that on purpose, of course. But chance for a parlay here, like I said, Romanov minus 650. The other one we talked about, minus 313 at Haas. That is a 2-fight parlay right there. You could stop it right there with those two. That would be pretty solid. I think you've got that all day long. But we've got some other one-sided ones. One that I didn't talk about because I don't know much about them. Minus 267 Gutierrez. So if you're feeling like it, throw some money there. Again, I don't necessarily know anything about those two, so I'm going to stay out of predicting that one. The other one is minus 325 for Steve Garcia over Charlie Ontiveros. Again, I don't know much about these two. I did look them up. Ontiveros didn't look that good. So maybe this could be another chance to add on to that parlay at minus 325. That's pretty solid too. Or like I said, you could throw it into Brown. I do think that is a little bit of a one-sided one at minus 240 and plus 190 because I think it's a little closer than that. But if you wanted to throw those three together, Haas, Romanov, Brown, that would also be good too. But if you want to stay a little safer, I think you can easily lock in Romanov and Haas. I think that is the solid parlay chance right there. And with that, that is it. That is all we have. If you want to follow me on the social medias, of course I have Twitter. Of course I've got Insta, YouTube, Twitch. It's all in the description below. They'll all be linked there. I'm reading my script out of order. They'll all be linked below. And if you want to hear about all of the other sports, the Area 51 network has all of those other sports. And not only that, fun fact, if you're watching here on Twitter, you can actually watch another one, the UFO betting show, for some more money action, some more betting action at 5 o'clock today, which is around 15 minutes after I finish here. Maybe you want to stay around for that. I will see you next week after this as I find the UFO betting show. Okay. Yeah, that was a weird ending. I will see you next week. And if you want to check out the betting odds, our boosted odds, again, they'll actually be talking about that on the UFO show directly after me. You can go check that out. You can get a $600 sign-up bonus on Area 51 just here. So see ya next time. I will show you the link right now.